But we start here because there's something that I feel really needs to be said, and I want to be very clear about this. Let me be at least one person to say point blank that I do not support these protests. I don't think they're mostly peaceful. I don't support anything about them. I don't support the peaceful elements. I don't support the violent elements. I don't support any of it. Now, given that these quote unquote protests, and by the way, just every time you hear me say protest today, in your head, apply the air quotes, because I can't say quote unquote protest every single time. That'll get old. So, given that these protests have come packaged with rioting and looting all across the country, and the nation has been in the grip of anarchy and chaos and arson and murder for a week because of it, and given that, in fact, these BLM/Antifa protests are almost always violent everywhere all the time for years now, it really shouldn't be necessary for me to say that I don't support them. That should be a necessary thing for anyone to say, especially as a conservative. It should be obvious. And there should be nothing bold or notable about saying that. Except that what I've noticed is even many conservative commenters, pundits, just normal conservative non-media people, many of them have gone out of their way to say that while they condemn the rioting and the looting, they realize that the protest itself is mostly peaceful. And anyway, they support the message of the peaceful protest. It's an important message that we all need to hear. It's such an important message. In fact, just as an example of what I'm talking about, I got into a back and forth with a woman named Ariel Davidson yesterday. She's a staffer for, I think, Dan Crenshaw. And I have no beef with her or anything, okay? But her position here is representative of what so many people on the right are saying. And so I just want to use this as an example. So she tweeted, it's possible to support the protests, recognize injustice, seek dialogue, and condemn looting all at once. It's possible. Now, I saw that and I responded, no, I don't think it's possible to meaningfully condemn the looting while supporting the protest. The looting and the rioting is inextricably linked with the protest. That's why it's happening in every major city where there is a protest. That's not a coincidence. And then her response was, the rioters are individuals abusing the protest, which is why they come out nearly exclusively at night. You're doing precisely what the left is doing, collapsing the distinction and condemning it all. I think the rioting is abhorrent. I think the protests are important. Okay. And like I said, my objective is not to pick on Miss Davidson here, but I'm just using this as an example. As far as her saying, you're doing what the left is doing, condemning it all, I don't know what that means. The left certainly is not condemning it all. They're doing the exact opposite. They're supporting and justifying all of it, rationalizing all of it. But in any case, the rest of that, I've seen a lot of this from the left and right. This is another example of the right accepting, adopting, promoting the talking points of the left. And this is something that right-wingers are kind enough to do, generous enough to do, even as left-wing mobs are roving through our cities, killing people and committing mass arson. Very generous and very kind, isn't it? People on the right, we have a tendency to do that in general, to accept, to kindly and generously, very tolerantly accept the talking points of the left. Well, we're doing it even now, even as there are left-wing mobs destroying our cities. We're allowing the left to frame it, to tell us how we should view this. The left says, no, I know you, well, here's what the left is telling us. Yeah, you see all these roving mobs, killing people, setting things on fire, stealing stuff, but this is mostly peaceful. And that is how you're supposed to see this. And then so many people on the right say, oh, well, if you say so, then that must be the case. So there are 2 points about these protests that I want to make here, even the peaceful variety. And let me tell you why I don't support them. Which is to say, by the way, that's to say I don't support the message of the protest. It's not to say I don't support the right to peacefully protest. Obviously, I support anybody's right to stand outside, waving a sign around and shouting slogans. As far as I'm concerned, you can do that anytime you want, anywhere you want. That's been my point for the last 3 months. Even during the coronavirus, I think you have a right to go out and protest. It's in the First Amendment, the right to peacefully assemble. So I believe in that. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.